Okay. So let's test. Let's see if this works. Because if it does, it's pretty insane. Oh my god! Oh my! Oh my god! This is crazy! There's no way. Wait, something's bugged. There's no way this is right. No? Am I crazy? So, you've seen a couple of clips. You've seen a couple clips online of this build. That's great. I don't think anyone else is doing this. Uh, I do think some person did comment on one of my posts that gave me this sweet tech. So shout out. Great name, Poopy Butts. Uh, Great person, great guides. But he saw my video on Path of Exile 2 builds, and he was talking about, I think it was some grenade, right? It was some grenade skill that blinds enemies. The thing is, you don't really need that. I moved it just to a purely supportive Galvanic Shards. Now, Galvanic Shards does do DPS versus bosses. As it says right here, it can hit every single enemy, right? It can hit multiple, right? It says right here, multiple fragments can hit the same target, combining damage. So the concept of the build originally goes from Red Flare Conduit and Red Flare Conduit, attack as fast as you can, use potential to spend these charges, gain Infused Weapon, right? Originally it was on Shock Burst Arch, right? And if you saw some videos of me doing the boss showcase, that was the original idea. Put potential on Shock Burst rounds, pair it up with something that can charge it with hits to generate these at 20% chance. Make sure you don't lose the charges using this node, so you don't lose 50% chance, right? And so when you hit a critical mass of like 4 to 6 charges, it goes infinite. And because the rounds also have, not only does Orb of Storms have a chance to gain the power charge, but so does Infused Weapon. Now, where does this build actually break this concept, and why Galvanic Shards is used over Shock Burst rounds now? Well, basically, while mapping, I realized that Shock Burst rounds actually shotguns the Infused Weapon. Meaning, it at least shoots 6 projectiles, right? Originally, without Scattershot, it's 6 projectiles. And I realized, oh, multiple fragments of the same hit can hit the same target and combining damage. And Infused Weapon, it should hit only once, right? Every time you hit Galvanic Shards. You press Galvanic Shards, it should hit once with Infused Weapon, right? But Infused Weapon doesn't do that. Infused Weapon makes it that your next projectile attack infuses all the projectile's fire. Right here, it says infusions to infuse the projectile's fire, causing them to explode at the end of their flight. So it's twofold, right? It's a separate attack, first of all, and it comes after. And also it infuses every single projectile. So from that wording, every single projectile for Galvanic Shards will proc an Infused Weapon, right? And the original idea is, oh, you only hit one right on the target. But this is not the case. When you're next to a target, you will effectively hit them with as many projectiles as Galvanic Shard shoots. Which means you're actually multiplying Infused Weapon's damage every time you press Galvanic Shards by 8. With Scattershot, right? With 8 by 8. Now, Shock Burst rounds, attack speed is also incredibly fast, right? That's Galvanic Shards. Also incredibly fast, right? There's 4 attacks per second. So, actually, my DPS calculations are incorrect because I have it at 3 attacks per second. Because this is before I respec into some attack speed nodes, right? So you're effectively hitting, and another thing is, Scattershot doesn't apply to Infused Weapon. This reduced damage, 35% less damage, and less attack and cast speed, has absolutely nothing to do with Infused Weapon. Infused Weapon is completely separate. right? And so every target you hit with a projectile is going to do infused weapon, and if you hit multiple projectiles, it will overlap, and it will deal as many projectiles as you hit. Now, where is this relevant is when you hit bosses. When you hit bosses, you're going to hit with all 8 projectiles every shot. At 4 shots per second, that's 32 projectiles, and that's 32 instances of infused weapon. Infused weapon at level 20 has a 190% attack scaling, and so that's about, what, 32 times 18, right? 32 times 18. That's just, my math is terrible. 576. 5,700 scaling, right? 5,760 scaling. DPS. You're basically giving yourself, without counting galvanic shards base damage, you're giving yourself 5,000 plus percent scaling, okay? That's crazy. 5,000, imagine an ability attack damage, 5,000 attack damage per second, okay? Now, this setup is for mapping, right? Now, another ability that I think is crazy no one is using. I know Roa is broken for mapping, but this ability is absolutely crazy, okay? It does 11% more at this level. I think it goes up to 12, and maybe 13 at 22. I need to check that again, but basically, let's just say it's 10% more per 50 resonance. When you hit with shock burst rounds, you're hitting 8 projectiles, like 32 projectiles a second, right? Not galvanic shards. 32 projectiles a second. Okay. Each attack hit gains 10 resonance. You instantly charge this thing to max. Not only do you charge this thing for max, you charge this thing to max for two different elements. Because your infused weapon is taking power charges, which then grants it cold infusion. And guess what? Galvanic shards is physical. It's physical converted to lightning. Now, there's even another layer of how to scale this, okay? So you read this node, and you think, okay, I just need to get accuracy, right? I just need to get accuracy so I get a better chance to hit in order for me to get this attack damage, a crit hit chance, right? Base crit hit chance. Up to 12.5% because the highest you can get is 150%. Now, you will see me scale some accuracy. I do have some accuracy nodes. I don't even know how good it is, right? Blind, maim, whole shebang. This is only because I want some attack speed, and I want to be able to hit mobs from far range, right? I want to be able to hit them. I need at least, 100% here, right? I'm not there yet, but there's no blind or the new tech. The new tech is, remember how I said galvanic shards is physical converting to lightning? It's not 100%, okay? It's not 100%. The beam is 100%, but the projectile that shoots 8 projectiles is physical. 40% physical. As you can see here, I'm doing 72 physical with each projectile, multiply that by 8, and then multiply that by 4 with the attack speed per second, right? Here's where the broken interaction comes into play. These projectiles will hit before the other projectiles hit. This beam, again, also increased by scatter shot, and infused weapon will also hit after galvanic shard's first projectile hits. And that first projectile has to have a 60% conversion from physical to lightning, because we are abusing the fact that, okay, maybe abuse is a bad word, right? It's a cool interaction. And again, this is suggested from u/poopybutts. Check him out. I think his full tag is I'll credit him in the description in the comments. But okay, we're using Lacerate. Lacerate is gonna give it bleeding, right? Now, this doesn't say it has to be physical damage, right? I mean, it does deal physical damage. I don't know if it's based on the physical damage per second. It doesn't matter because it does physical damage, right? But the second part is blood in the eyes. And you may ask yourself, wow, this build is already so convoluted. How can it get more convoluted? What is hobble? A hobble is basically you lower their evasion every time you hit them, based on the amount of physical damage you do. So I think the original concept for GGG is, oh, I'll hit them a bit and with some physical damage, and then I'll hit a big payoff, right? With, my big payoff will definitely hit, even if it has low accuracy. I just have to hobble this boss, and then I can just blast it with higher accuracy, and then with Amazon at least, you can blast it with 12.5% crit chance, right? Base crit chance. But I mean, how do you apply this as fast as possible, right? Because mobs have about 843 evasion base, bosses more, and as I said, we're only doing so much physical damage, right? 72 times 8, right? That's a lot, actually. 72 times 8. Well, your attack speed, first of all, and your shot cutting, right? So you're basically reducing any target's evasion, especially bosses, to 0 immediately. And this is, again, before the infused weapon explodes. So this accuracy rating does not matter at all. You do not even need accuracy. You can have 0, and this will still have a base crit chance added of 12.5%. As long as you bleed, and then you hobble them. So this applies to bosses, this applies to mobs. In mobbing, you don't really need scattershot, you want fork because you want to hit larger packs. This also works with infused weapon, and you'll just be shotgunning mobs everywhere. And you ask yourself, okay, that's cool and all. I get how you charge power charges in mobbing with Orb of Storms, and you cast Galvanic Shards. The 2 Orb of Storms will chain, giving you a 40% chance to generate a charge. It's just 20% plus 20%. And after 20% plus 20%, you have another 20% from infused weapon. And I don't know if it's 100% because it seems like 100% because you're hitting 8 times. I think it's actually 20 plus 20 plus 20 times 8. So it's actually over 100% chance for every single shot to gain infusions, right? And every single shot will end up gaining 2 infusions, and you won't lose them, okay? You're infinite. But again, how does that apply to mobbing? How do I get this to even work when I'm fighting large hordes of enemies, right? They're so fast, they don't do anything. Okay. Herald of Ice and Herald of Thunder. Love it or hate it. 0.1, 0.2. This is what helps you chain as well on packs, right? Because when you put potential, Galvanic Shards won't be able to generate power charges. But these things do, right? These things do. This thing will hit something. This thing will hit something at least 5 times over your next couple attacks. Now, let me remind you that these probabilities of generating chances per hit, pretty additive in probability, right? You're almost infinite as well. Obviously, you're going to have unlucky streaks where you lose charges. That's okay. Just recharge. My general rule of thumb is you get to 6 charges as fast as possible with Orb of Storms at the beginning of the map. And once you hit 6 charges, just try to conserve some ammo so you don't waste the infused projections, because the infused weapon projectiles will also give you charges afterwards. And along with this 50% less chance of losing them, you can go infinite, right? To top it off, we're using Predatory Instinct just for making bosses crazy fast, because when you hit them in this section, they just disappear, okay? The tree, we have to go defense for mapping. We have to take some ES. So we're taking Subterfuge Mask with the ES helmet. And then just scaling crit. Because you're scaling 2 different types of damage. Cold damage and lightning damage. Although lightning damage isn't that important here, we still want as much damage as possible. So there's no reason to scale cold damage here. You could. My ring is cold damage. I just got this earlier today. Slammed exalts. Great. So you just scale attack damage, we scale elemental damage, we scale skill speed, we scale some accuracy and attack speed, right? This is insane because we have all 5 ailments and crit. Dex also gives accuracy, right? And it's important when you're mapping because they're going to be far away from you. That's it. You just want a bare minimum so you can hit things across the map. You need this first Galvanic Shard's physical damage to hit the enemy in order for any of the rest of your kit to work, right? So again, with Subterfuge Mask, you have to run an ES Helm. You also have an slightly ES body armor. It's not that strong defensively, but no other chess piece in the game says add 180% scaling to every single projectile you fire, including Galvanic Shards, 8 different projectiles at once, right? Rings, you're just looking for resistances, capping resistances, maybe cold damage, maybe lightning damage to attacks, maybe max life because you're very squishy, maybe rarity if you want to go that route. And the attributes in this build are pretty restrained. Like, there's a pretty big restraint because you need a lot of strength for the hybrid scaling skills, but you also need a lot of int because you don't want your Orbital Storms to disappear too many times. It's just too much management, right? And you also want this Helm, right? At, I think it's 133 int minimum. So you just want this at 130 int, this at 130 int, and you're good. You're golden. Right now I'm at 90 because I have reduced attribute requirements. Unnecessary. So maybe some attributes to cover. The amulet is going to be Beacon of Disease, Solar Amulet. This amulet is going crazy right now. Everyone is buying it because, you don't really have a very easy way of ignoring enemy elemental resistances. You don't want to use too many points in your tree to go toward these penetration nodes, especially since you're doing hybrid damage. This node is good, but these nodes leading up to it are kind of bad. And so, basically, what you're trying to do... Oh, hey, Yutao. Anyways, basically, what you're trying to do is just get as much attributes as you can, right? You want to make sure this stays around. This is only just because I can. It's unnecessary. It works with Rising Tempest as well. I just put it down. It's just some extra DPS I don't have to manage. I can just put it down before the fight. This belt also going crazy. If you get a max spirit roll, you can run warm. I like warm blooded, so you don't get frozen while mapping. Then you can change it to the stun charm because stuns go crazy this batch. This one just makes it so you can't get shocked. Give you some good lightning res. Mana is useless. The regen, okay. Flash charges gained. You don't use mana flasks. Health flasks, usually if you use it, you're close to dying. You might die, but it's good. The cannot be shocked is amazing versus shocked round. You're very squishy. You don't want to get shocked. Although I kind of solved this before I bought the belt. It just gives me peace of mind not to get shocked. This glove, originally it was because I was taking the leech node because I didn't think I needed the damage, but thinking about it, you only have 1,600 HP. Leech isn't going to do anything for you, in my opinion. It's still useful, gain life per enemy killed. Sometimes it'll save you in a breach, but this max life stat is probably saved me more. You're looking for maybe some evasion, some damage to attacks, max life, resistances to your cap, and maybe crit damage and attack speed, right? This, you're looking for ES, as high ES as possible, because it gives you ES and evasion. Then you're looking for crit, resistance cap. Boots. This boot is awful. You don't need to look at it. It's terrible. Max life, movement seed, evasion, energy shield, stats, res cap, right? And if you can see, my equips kind of suck. Yet I'm able to output so much DPS, making this an extremely good budget build as well, right? For a while I was running a terrible crossbow, and it was not fun. That's all I can say. It was not that great, but it worked. I got to T10 maps, and then after T10 maps I got one or two divines. I decided to spend one divine on a weapon, but the best one I found at the time. Originally the leech as well. Attack speed is much better than leech. You're looking for fizz, 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 crit, crit, attack speed. Obviously, that's going to be very expensive if you do it that way. If you really want to min-max, check your POB. This is not optimal. Apparently, an iron rune here and an elemental rune here is perfect. I don't know. I don't think it's worth it min-maxing because it's not a big deal. You're just gonna kill the boss anyways. I think this is a truly innovative build for this season. I don't think anyone's done it. I'm trying to bring fun back to 0.2, right? I think I saw some other builds that do pretty decent DPS, I guess, versus bosses, like Artillery Ballista, maybe Stormlance. But I think this one has the ability to scale like crazy, right? My equips kind of suck. They're not that great. And you definitely can gain more damage here. You can gain more damage here for sure. You can gain a lot more damage here. Like, a lot more damage. You can gain a lot more damage here. And you can also get more gems. You know, hit level 90. I'm almost 90. Get another thing here. If you want to play with the POB, you can play with the POB. Of course, again, when I'm streaming and recording, I just can't get charges. Or maybe I'm getting too many. There we go. Smoother. It's a combo, GGG. It's on purpose. It's a combo. I have to drop Overstorms. Don't nerf. I mean, this kind of plays like a top-down shooter, right? You got to reload your weapon sometimes. And I think that's part of the vision of, you know, crossbows anyways. So, I think it's fine. Hopefully no nerf. Is this the boss? Wait. Is this the boss? This is the boss, right? Oh wait, this is another boss you can't one-shot, huh? Why not try this? Should I try that? I should try this setup. This is interesting as well. I'll try it. This is an interesting setup. You have overabundance. Yeah, this is interesting. Interesting setup. We're just trying different gems around. Yeah, this is another boss you can't one-shot, so unfortunately you just have to run with him, right? Yeah, see? Kill Arbiter, and if, say I get nerfed, I'm quitting. Yeah, I should. If I get nerfed, I'm quitting.